Hello, my name is Rob, and I make board games. Today, that game is Magnificent Merchants, a game about making people happy while pursuing fame, fortune, and fanciness. In this series, I highlight an element of the development journey, anything from designing game mechanics, playtesting, theme and story, artwork, and more. I've even been known to write music for my games from time to time. But here is a physical prototype of the game. I work in digital and physical. Today I've got this and I've been playtesting with some people around these parts. And I have added a ton. A lot has changed. I've done a lot of work to make this system better and to make it more interesting, to solve some of the problems we talked about in the last video. I've added uniqueness to each of the 3 regions of the world. I've added unique characters, each with an ability. I've added the renown tracks, which is kind of how you keep track of your fame. I've added events, the ability to build shops, a better travel system, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. I was doing kind of these bigger devlogs that cover a whole variety of things and just show you everything I've been doing, but going forward, I'm going to try highlighting one thing at a time. Nice focused video. I can't guarantee it will be short or long. It'll just be all about that thing for the most part. And today, that's travel. I previously had it so you had roads between the cities. It's called point-to-point movement. So you would spend an action moving from one city to another. And it was a 1 action per turn system. So on your turn, you might spend your whole turn traveling. And that was boring. It wasn't very much progress. The game did move along very quickly, because if you typically would know where you're trying to go and you would just move your guy and then the next person, the next player would go. However, it was boring and it didn't feel like you had made a lot of progress on your turns. So what do we have now? Well, you can now go anywhere you want in the world, and that might sound boring, but I've done a few things to make this interesting. So as I alluded to, there are 3 regions in the world. You have the desert region, which is the yellow. This map is not final, by the way. It's just for fun to have something there. The islands region and the mountains region. And there's now different amounts of towns in each region. They used to be perfectly symmetrical, which was boring. When you travel within your own region, you just move there. So your turn basically consists of move and do a thing at the place. So in this case, you could buy this merchant card, and there's not a lot going on these cards right now other than basically a title and a price. Do a thing at the town, and then that's your turn. Now, that would be kind of simple and straightforward enough, and that's great. If you're traveling within your own region, that's it. You move, do the thing. If you are moving to a new region, that implies there's a bit more of a journey that must take place. It doesn't require your whole turn. You still move and do the thing there. But I've now added this stamina resource. So this is what I'm using for stamina. Go this way. This is what I'm using for stamina. So the camera gonna focus. These cute little gems. So each player has a different maximum stamina, as well as like a special ability and stuff like that. So here's the thing. You only have so much stamina. And if you run out, you can't use it anymore to travel between regions. So what's the deal with that? This means when you travel to another region, you really have to think about the cost of traveling, because you might be running out of stamina. So if I went over here, I spent some stamina, and then I only have 2 left, so maybe I want to go over here and I spend the rest of it, whatever. Now I'm stuck in this region. That's where the rest comes in. So your turn is either travel and then do an action, or rest and then do an action. So if you rest, you regain 2 stamina back to your character, and then you don't get to move because you've rested and you're staying in one place, but you still get to do an action at the location. So you have to think about when you're going to rest, because maybe you want this card or maybe you don't. It all depends what your goals are and what's happening in the game. So you either rest, regain some stamina, or you travel and potentially use the stamina if you're traveling to a new region. But there's more. Each character has a unique ability that may only be used when you're resting. So that way it's a nice, it's also a nice benefit when you choose not to travel, because traveling is important in this game. You're gaining some stamina and you get to do your special ability. In this case, Darby can roll any one of the currency dice. I'm not going to go over how those work in this video, but that gives you a nice power, some way you can change the game that's unique from other players. So how do you determine how much stamina it costs to move between regions? That's something that's completely new as well, is these 3 little readouts. It looks like a card because they can be replaced with more abilities, and you probably cannot see them. So I will read out the island region. So when I go to the island region, the first thing I do is read this. Vree, the rugged sailor. You have 2 choices. A, Vree provides safe passage in her ship. Pay her 1 blue coin and spend 1 stamina. Or B, borrow a small boat and brave the waters on your own in any weather. You roll the black dice, which has just a 1, 2, or 3 on it, and you pay the result. So you can take a little bit of a gamble with your stamina, and you could say, maybe I can get it for cheap. I'm going to roll, and it lands on a 1. I only have to spend 1 stamina. That's great. Or maybe I roll the 3, bad weather. So there you have it. And throughout the game, events are triggered, which is also a new thing. And one of them might be to place a new card here. So in this one, Vree the sailor got sick, so she can't help you travel, but you can help heal her for some renown. So this throughout the game changes the cost and the methods you use to visit the other regions, and every region is unique. But there's a little bit more to travel as well. That's basically it. You move, you might use stamina, or you rest to regain stamina, but you have to think about where you want to go. Before, you were kind of locked to the paths, and there wasn't anything different between the towns. But now, not only is there a lot of unique cards now, but there's also these spots on the board, and some cities are bigger and have 3, or some are smaller and have 2 or 1. Whenever you travel, you are a very fancy, magnificent merchant, and you are creating influence wherever you go. So that's where these cubes come in. All components are subject to change, but here we have some cubes, and I love cubes. Who doesn't love a good cube? Whenever you travel, you place a cube if there is an empty slot. So if I go to this, I feel like the color's harder to see. If I go to this small blue town and place 1 cube, that town is full now. If another player is here, I don't have another player handy. If another player is already in the city, I don't gain influence there. So you want to go to a spot. You can visit a spot where other players are, no problem. You can buy the cards there. But if I wanted to, I could go to a city that's currently empty and place the influence there. Now, once the entire region, any given one, is full, so this would have a variety of players filling it up, but I've only got these green cubes out right now. Once it's full, so we've got 3, 2, 1, and 1. This is full. Whoever has the most cubes gains renown in that region. So you'd remove all of your cubes, leaving any other players there, and move up 1 renown. And renown is a competition for points. So at the end of the game, you're going to get a bunch of points based on your position on each of those 3 tracks. So when you're traveling, you're thinking about, do I want to go to a new region? Do I have stamina to go to the new region? What cards are available where? And is there a spot for me to place influence? It's not a big deal if you spend some time going to somewhere to get something you really want, even if the influence slots are full or there's another player there, because you really want the card here. But if you only ever move like that, you're never going to influence the region, you're never going to gain renown. There are other ways to gain renown, and I'm not going into that in this video. But I hope that sounds interesting. Actually, why don't you tell me in the comments, what do you think of this travel system? Is it too simple? Is it too complex? Is it interesting? Is it different? Is it something you've seen before? What other games have you played that use travel, and how do they work? Do you find those more compelling? I would love to hear your thoughts about this or any other thing in the comments, and thanks for watching.